Hello, today I want to talk about the fear family of emotions, and I want to focus a little bit on anxiety because I see it occurring a lot with my clients and in society in general. Anxiety has become kind of an epidemic. So, first of all, let's frame fear correctly. Fear is the main emotion, the prime emotion, just like we have prime colors, we have prime emotions. And so fear is the emotion that underlies basically all negative emotions. Fear splits things into many parts. Whereas the opposite emotion, the emotion that is the main emotion for on the positive side, is love. And love unifies, right? So fear is based on the physical existence as a human and the survival instinct that we all have. So fear is linked to us being a separate individual. And then we have levels of fear where our group is afraid of the other group, and those groups can get larger and larger until they become countries. And then if there's an alien invasion, then, it becomes all the world fearing the aliens. Not going to happen, by the way. So, anxiety is one expression of fear. Just like worry is another expression of fear, and even hatred, anger, all that is another expression of fear. But I want to stay to the ones really close to fear, and that's why I'm picking anxiety as the main one. So, to the degree that we are seeing ourselves as limited, vulnerable, at risk, and potentially victims, we go into fear. Now, in Christianity, Jesus said, turn the other cheek. Somebody hits you on this cheek, give them the other one. Have them hit you there too, right? Give it all up. And I think that what Jesus was alluding to was an enlightened way of living, a way of perceiving the world, which is, it's all one, it's all God, it's all divine, it's all spirit, whatever words you want to attach to it. And nobody can really take anything from you because the real you is indestructible and immortal. And the only thing that can happen is that there is pain and suffering, and the lifetime is cut short. One or the other, or both. And so, if we live in an identity where we identify as the spirit that never dies and never gets damaged, never gets hurt, then we slowly move out of the identity that is able to hold fear. So, one big part of fear then is your identity level. So, I want to think about identity as having 3 levels. And I know that there are many psychological theories, philosophies that I am mirroring, but I want you to kind of think of it just along the lines that I'm saying it, even though it might sound like Freud or Jung or whoever else. This is just from my way of working with clients. So there is the small level, the inner child, the subconscious, unconscious, the part of us that is reactive in a way that the conscious mind doesn't always know how to deal with. So it's like, I don't know why I got so upset about that. I don't know why I reacted in that way to X, right? So we have that part that's reacting. And so see that as like this lower part. And lower doesn't mean it's bad, because it's your wounded inner child, but it's also your joyful, ecstatic inner child. And it's kind of the natural you that exists before all the rules of society and the rules of shut up and don't make noise and all the rules that cemented in insecurity and separation. Okay, so that aspect of you is there. And then there's this next part, which is more of a mental level, that is more of, it's that part that says, I don't know why I got so upset about that, right? Because that mental part is disconnected with that vital, alive part that is actually a really core part of us, but usually we disown it. And the more intellectual people get, the more they kind of go into their mental realm of abstraction and lose touch with that vital part that can be really angry, that can be terrified, that can have all that, but that also is the part that feels ecstatic joy, love, and all kinds of stuff. Okay. So then we have our mental level, and then above that we have our eternal level. And it really depends on where the center of your identity is in terms of fear, right? Now, if you're at the bottom level, that inner child level, and fearless, then that would mean that you're at the part before you got crushed. And we all got crushed. Okay? And most of us can't really access that core vitality without stirring up a bunch of other stuff, right? And that's kind of the process that the world is in right now, clearing out fear. Okay? So the thing is, we have the vital level, then we have that intellectual level, then we have that eternal level, which is the soul, which is all your previous incarnations, physical, non-physical, spiritual, alien, whatever the hell. All right? And the idea is not to just go up the levels. The idea is to integrate them. The idea is that we want to have all of that vital, essential life force power that we were born with, and that as kids, I mean, my God, we ran everywhere. Imagine trying to run everywhere like you did when you were 3 years old, right? You'd probably hurt yourself, depending on your age and level of conditioning. I would hurt myself, that's for sure. And so we want that vital part, we want that intellectual part, and we want that spiritual part, that eternal part, and we want them all to be kind of one integrated whole. Now, the key thing about fear is, like all other emotions, it's not about doing electrolysis on the emotion and zapping it and getting rid of it forever. Fear is just part of our makeup as humans. It's fine. Okay? When the bus is coming at you, your body feels that jolt of fear that motivates you to jump out of the way of the bus. And that's a good thing. And we're not trying to get rid of that, because buses would hit more people if we did. So we don't want to do that. Okay, but what happens is, let me give you an example. When a lion or a cheetah, whatever, is chasing an antelope, you can watch this in nature documentaries. They're chasing that antelope, and the antelope gets away. What does the antelope do when it gets away? And how does it not go into lifelong anxiety because of the trauma of nearly being eaten by a lion? And that's probably a trauma that's not only happening once in that antelope's life. And it's highly likely that that's the last trauma that antelope will ever have, because it's probably destined to be lion food in the end, no matter what. So what does the lion do that's smarter than us? Well, what it does is it shakes out the tension. It shakes its whole body, shakes out those legs and the neck and the back. It gets the tension out of the body so that there's nothing left, and then it goes back to grazing like nothing ever happened. We don't do that. And part of why we don't do that is because of how we identify. And part of how we do that, why we do that, is we don't shake out. We don't do anything about it. Usually, we freeze or we collapse. Some of us go into fight or flight. But actually freezing and collapse in the face of fear is more and more what people do. So when you freeze or you collapse, see, if you fight or you go into flight, you do shake out a lot of that energy. Now, I'm not advocating fighting, and I'm not advocating running away every time you're scared, like physically running away. But in terms of not having anxiety in the future, the more energy you can expend around the emotion while the emotion is happening and right afterwards, the less residue sticks on you. So, now, think of all the times that you did not fight when you were afraid. You did not run. You did the two other reptilian brain responses to fear. You either froze, I did that a lot, or you collapsed. I did that a lot too. And what happens is then all the anxiety stays in your body, stays in your mind. The trauma is stuck. It becomes the new reality. And as the trauma becomes the new reality, you're building up this trauma bank, which when it reaches a certain level, when the bucket fills to a certain level, it starts overflowing. And then you could be in a state of chronic anxiety. So, now, philosophically, we're not going to change this fear that's kind of based in the body. We're not going to change that instantly by adopting a new spiritual philosophy. That's not going to do it alone, because that's just the same as trying to have the mental level override this vital level. Okay, you've been doing that your whole life. You've been trying to get your mental level to override your dumb, primitive emotions your whole life. And what that's done is just kept you split. So now, then people come up with the idea, I'll just reach up to that spiritual, eternal level, and it will make this vital level shut up. But no. Actually, when you bring in the spiritual, what it will do is it will increase the frequency of whatever it touches, which will be experienced by the person as more fear and more anxiety. That's why when people do ayahuasca or other psychedelics, they can have a bad trip, because all this stuff comes up. Because what we're doing is we're kind of bringing in spirit to shine a light on all the crap. And then we're identified as the crap, and we're like, oh no. So we either go into fear or shame or whatever. And then we call it a bad trip, and we hope it never happens again, instead of realizing this is our chance to take out the trash. So, but we do need the context of the spiritual, and we do need the context of the intellectual. And if that weren't the case, I wouldn't be talking about it. So the key thing is that we need to integrate the whole system. And the best way to do that is to nurture that vital part, that inner child part, in a way that instead of having it be the repository of fear and anxiety, it becomes what it was always meant to be, the repository of joy, love, and our vital life force. So how do we do that? Well, staying with fear and anxiety, what we do is, number one, we honor the fear or the anxiety. When it comes up, instead of saying no, you say yes. I know that sounds counterintuitive and scary to many people. But the thing is, when you say yes to the negative emotion, and if you've been watching my videos, you've heard it a million times, then what you are doing is you are loving the inner child aspect of yourself that is still stuck on that emotion. And when you do that, that inner child part, which you have been trying to make shut up your whole life, if you're like most people, it all of a sudden feels validated and heard, and doesn't have the need to get your attention with a bunch of drama like maybe it's been doing your whole life. It no longer has that need because you are giving it love and attention. And the thing is, like, a lot of people, you included, and that vital inner child self especially, you oftentimes just need somebody to just give you a little nod, like, yeah, I know that one. Yeah, I know, that sucks. You know, all you need is for somebody not to say, oh, you'll get over it. Oh, time heals all wounds. Or, oh, why do you feel that about that? That doesn't make any sense. All you need is just some attention on that part of you that's holding the pain, the fear, the trauma, the anxiety, to just receive a little love, and oftentimes a whole layer of it will just evaporate instantly. That doesn't mean there aren't more layers. Don't get impatient, because being impatient is also a childhood trauma, that people were impatient with you because you couldn't keep up. You couldn't do what they could do. Okay, so you don't want to re-traumatize that part of yourself by now you being the impatient adult telling that inner child to hurry up. So, on the spiritual level, it's very helpful to explore these other levels of yourself. For example, past lives. Now, past lives, a lot of people think past lives are just being other people on Earth. But the universe is a lot older than Earth, and you've been here from the beginning, as far as I've seen from doing 2,000 past life regressions. And so you've been all kinds of different things. In fact, you are more than just this person watching this video right now. You're also other people, other beings, other levels of you, whatever you want to call it. And as you get to know these other levels, and past life regression hypnosis is great for that, because it doesn't only connect you with other lifetimes on Earth. There's parts of you that never have even been incarnated in a physical body. You want to know those parts. The more that you touch those parts for even a moment could change your life. Okay, so you want to keep expanding and having your identity, at least part of the time, resting in those levels. And then, as I said, the lower, so-called lower level, that vital inner child level, you want to love that part. And then, let's say you, the human ego with a brain and opinions and philosophies and all of that, is in the middle. And that's appropriate, right? But from there, you're the conductor, orchestrating the coming together of these aspects. And as these aspects come together, you have to realize that things are going to happen that you don't understand right away. And the temptation is going to be to interpret them in the usual way. But I would ask you to just hold off on the interpretation for a moment and just keep experiencing. So back to fear and anxiety. What do we do on a practical level when we're stuck in a loop of fear and anxiety? And anxiety, in a way, is just like fear with gas thrown on it. Okay, it's buzzier, it's faster, and it's harder to deal with, right? It's like somebody talking, 100 miles an hour right in your ear with a really annoying voice. But basically, it's fear. So the fear comes up, number one, or the anxiety, number one, say yes. Don't say no. Now, typically you don't say either one, but in essence, if you're trying to control it, you're trying to hold it back, you're saying no. And when you say yes, you're just like, okay, you have the floor. And it's like an example I've used many times. You got that naughty kid in the back of the classroom that won't shut up. And you tell that kid, the teacher tells that kid, okay, come up, you teach the class. And the teacher goes and sits in that kid's seat. And you have the floor. And now that kid has nothing to say. And then you say, well, would you like me to teach the class then? Because I thought you had something to say. You were talking the whole time. Right? So if you want to teach, you teach. But if you don't want to teach, you're going to need to shut up. Okay. So when your fear comes up, let it come up. Say, oh, hi, fear. What news do you have for me? Oh, Mom was mean. Okay, yeah, Mom was mean. Right? Or whoever. And, is there anything else you have? I'm scared of Mom. Yeah, I don't blame you. She's scary. Yeah. And so you kind of keep pulling out, right? What does that inner child self want to say, right? What does it want to feel? What does it want acknowledged? And then you play that role. And then you start to feel the integration between you, the adult, egoic mind, and the inner child that has the trauma. And as your identity moves into the union of both of those energies, so on a certain level you're feeling like the parent that is nurturing the traumatized, the scared little kid. And then just open your heart to feeling compassion for that part of yourself, and most importantly, never telling it to shut up or to go away, but always asking, anything else you'd like to say? Anything else before we move on to the next thing? So that it knows, that part of you knows that you're paying attention. Because most of the time, that inner child did not receive that level of attention. And to be honest, it probably would have been impossible for that child to ever get. It's kind of like, can you ever answer every question that a kid asks? Like, Louis C.K. has a great bit on that, but it's like, it's impossible because they're just going to keep asking questions. And so to some degree, kids are going to get traumatized no matter what, because nobody can keep up with all their energy. And at some point, somebody's just going to tune them out or tell them to shut up or get mad or put them to bed early or what, something that's going to traumatize the kid. Okay. So now you're listening to every damn thing that kid wants to say, and you're saying, please, more, 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 more. And all of a sudden the kid's like, that kid standing in front of the classroom, and it's just like, I don't know, I'll go sit in my seat, right? And this isn't to shame this part of you or shut it up. This is to bring it all out. Now, so let's say we have these bottom two layers nice and integrated. Then what do we do with the third level? Well, we just tune into it and ask for integration, okay? So it's kind of like you are the middle layer. You have your higher and your lower layer. This is you. So you're nurturing the lower layer, and then you're asking for nurturing from the higher layer. But you're not staying here while you're doing it. You're also in the identity of the higher layer that's nurturing both of the lower ones. Okay. This might sound complicated to some. It might sound elementary to others. It is something that I just want people to have an idea of how it works, and to start working with that idea in whatever way you want. Now, if you want me to guide you through that, we can do a phone session. You can reach me at andysway@yahoo.com, and we can set that up, and I can walk you through it. And we can do that as a 1 hour thing, as a 2 hour thing where I include some energy healing, or we can do it as a more long-term thing that we do regularly, and we just integrate all these emotions as they come up. So what's the end result? The energy of your fear and your anxiety is energy, okay? It's just being cycled through something that causes discomfort, pain in the human body and psyche. But the raw energy of it is not something that we ever want to get rid of. We want to have that energy. We want, it's like you can either use the energy for life, or you can use the energy to suppress other energy, which leads to quicker death, honestly. So as you nurture the inner child and ask for nurturing from the eternal self, it's all going to unify. Your energy is going to unify. And when the fear comes back the next time, because remember, we're not killing it, you say, hi, welcome, welcome. What do you have for me today? And don't argue with it. Recently, I had a client, and this has been happening a lot since COVID. Extremely wealthy person, extremely successful, having deep fear and anxiety about being homeless. Now, I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I mean, it could happen to anybody, right? But it wasn't about the logical risk of this person facing homelessness. It was about a disconnection deep inside that expressed in whatever way it could. And then, of course, that person's like, why the hell is this here? This doesn't even make sense. I'm nowhere near risking homelessness and whatever, right? But that's not going to fix it. Okay? So, as you do this method, this approach, what's going to happen is that you're going to be fed actually by the vitality of the energy that you were trying to crush in the past. Anyway, one of the longest videos I've ever done. So I will end it here. If you want more information on this, I have a lot of other videos on this channel. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And check out the other videos that align with this, if this is something that you want to work more on. And like I said, if you want to get in touch with me, Andy Sway at yahoo.com, and we can set a phone session up and we can get working on this. And you know, once somebody leads you through it a few times, you're going to find that you're able to do a lot of this on your own. So, whether you like it or not, the world is waking up. And clearing this fear, anxiety part is just one prerequisite to the awakening that we're going through. The quicker we get through this, the sooner we get to the next one. But the next one won't be as hard as this one. The next one will definitely not be as hard as this one. And I don't know what it is, but it seems right now a lot of the world is going through the fear and anxiety one. So let's knock it out and enjoy a life where we don't crush the emotion, but we let it actually bring us vitality, return us to the vitality that we were born to have. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.